If somebody's mentioned that you need to purchase an umbrella policy and you're curious what that is, let's dive right in and discuss exactly what an umbrella does for you, what it costs, and what are the benefits, and when you really need to have one. Most people are going to say that you have to always have one in general, but in some scenarios it just isn't a fit for some people. The easiest way to think of it is an umbrella is an umbrella. You pop open an umbrella if you're in a rainstorm and it protects you from the rain. That's essentially wherever you walk. You have that protection over you. This is in addition to your home policy or your auto policy, so it's going to protect you outside of those normal factors as well as in those factors. So if you get in the car, you're still protected. If you get out and have the umbrella open, you're still protected. That's essentially the easiest way to think of it. It's an additional policy that you can purchase to your insurance to give you a little extra coverage. The benefit and the reason people like it is two main reasons. One, it's not very expensive, and we'll get into some different price ranges here in just a moment. And two, it protects way, way further than your typical insurance policy. It's the most amount of insurance that you can purchase for the least amount of cost, according to Dave Ramsey. And the fact that he said it doesn't matter because it's just the truth. It is the least amount of cost for the most amount of coverage. It's essentially $1 million or more is an umbrella policy. So the scenario that you would use an umbrella, there's a ton of different ways, and the biggest, largest one in today's age is if you have kids. That is a major determination if you should have an umbrella. Let's say, for example, your kids are playing at a friend's house or they're at a party, and one of the kids at that party gets bullied. Your kid is in the house or in the room and not necessarily part of it, so maybe they were in the clear. That doesn't stop the parents from suing everybody in the house. So now that you're part of a lawsuit similar to that, that umbrella is going to help protect you. Your homeowner insurance may or may not cover part of that, but it's not going to have enough because you may not have enough coverage in that policy. So beyond that, your umbrella needs to kick in and protect you from a lawsuit like that. Another scenario is if you're in a car accident and you run out of your liability limits. Let's say you chose the $250,000 and $500,000 limit. That means $250,000 per person, and if you hurt someone up to $600,000, now you're on the hook for that additional amount of money. If that's out or you run out, that person has to go after you. Instead of going after you, they just claim it from your umbrella. Your umbrella pays the additional cost up to whatever that limit is set, and you're clear. It's not just for the wealthy, it's for anybody that wants to have that additional protection. I'll be honest, having car insurance, having home insurance, liability portions really isn't enough in today's age anymore. When you see lawsuits, they're in the millions and multi-millions. That's just how people go after other people. In most cases, you look at your assets and say, okay, do I actually have enough for somebody to take? Are they going to be able to take my house or take my income or take my retirement? And that's a little of a mixture there. There's some things they can and can't take. There are laws in different states that allow that, and that would be more of a lawyer I would speak with to get those specific details. But essentially, it's usually not enough for that one-time occurrence in those major claims that you may have. That umbrella is going to kick in, and that's where that comes from. The last part about the coverage portion is it also covers property damage as well. So it's not just you getting sued or liability or whatnot. It basically covers if you broke a car. If you hit a Ferrari and it's a $400,000 version, but you only had $100,000 on your car policy, that $300,000 can come out of that umbrella as a backup. So for an extra couple, $10, $20 a month, that's definitely worth it. So what does an umbrella policy not cover? Well, there's really only three major pieces, and you have to read your contract just to verify in case it changes, because it's all written in that addendum or that policy or that declarations page. The umbrella policy is not going to cover any property damage or medical injury to you or your property. If it's intent of maliciousness or it's something against the law, then there is no coverage for that situation. If you purposely ran into a wall or ran into somebody or ran somebody over, your umbrella policy isn't going to kick in and pay for that. That's out of your pocket. And then anything under a contract. So if you have a liability, a contract with somebody or some company, that umbrella policy isn't going to breach into that. That's more of a commercial line. And in that case, you should have a separate policy, actual liability policy that covers that scenario. So it's something a little bit separate and different in that case. So let's talk about price. In my experience, I've had multiple umbrellas, and actually probably half the time we sell an umbrella to somebody because most people need it. In all honesty, like I said, car claims and home claims and whatever the case is, and people with kids, anything that happens, if there's a lot of parties, whatever the case is, you want to have enough coverage and beyond just to make sure that you're protected. Most people see that value in the umbrella and go for that. So the cost, let's dive in. There's a couple different ways that this can happen. Let's talk about the risk that determine that price. When they're looking at the cost of an umbrella, what builds those packages up, those blocks to create that bill, you've got the liability risk in major factors. So when I say major factors, they're asking how many cars do you have? How many houses do you have? Do you have a secondary home, a third home, whatever that case is? Do you have a boat? How many boats? What's the horsepower of that boat? What's the likelihood of something happening where you're going to get sued and you need that umbrella to pay? The more toys and things you have, the higher that cost is going to get. How many children do you have? Are they under 25? Are they drivers? Those are different scenarios. And then the last couple pieces is your job occupation. Now, you would think the job occupation wouldn't matter, but it does. Are you a construction worker? Are you a business person? Are you an elected official? In most cases, elected officials are excluded, so you can't actually be an official because it's highly likely that you're going to get a lawsuit. Something you say, you're constantly in the public, you're a figure, whatever that case is, you're likely going to have that excluded. Going back to the cost, you can pay anywhere from about $10 a month all the way up to about $30 a month. It can get higher. Naturally, if you add a $20 million umbrella, it has to go through certain steps, but if they approve it, you're going to pay a lot more. In most cases, today's age, you're going to likely pay about $300 on average. At least in the states that I've worked with, that seems to be common. Different companies charge different amounts because they have different risks. So they are usually going to require that you have the home and the auto together. Some companies only require you have the home, some companies require you only have the auto, and then there are some companies out there that will just write a standalone umbrella. Most of your insurance agents don't typically work with those companies directly. It's just those one-offs where you have to Google them, pull them up, and then get that quote and purchase that umbrella policy. The lowest I've actually seen it is about $12 per month. The common that I see is about $20 per month. And I think I pay about $19 to $22 per month. I think it's $22 myself for my personal umbrella policy. Higher ones that I've seen so far is in that $500 range per year. So you're looking about $40 to $45 per month. Those scenarios are a little bit different because they usually have two or one under 25-year-old driver. They may have a boat. They may have a second house. So there's more risk added on. And some companies rate if you have tickets and claims. So in that scenario, that may kick in, and that may be the other reason that your umbrella policy is high. Now, in these scenarios, we're talking about a $1 million umbrella. If you want the average number, it's $300. According to the Information Institute, as of January of this year, the average cost of a $1 million umbrella policy is $300. If you add a $2 million and a $3 million, it doesn't go up as much as you think. It's not going to double in price. So if you do a $2 million policy, you're probably going to add half of the cost on because the odds of them having to pay that out are pretty low. When you get up to the $5 million, you're probably not paying much more than an extra $50 to add that extra million from the 4 to 5. I've had a few policies where I have gotten into the 3, the 4, and the 5 million, and those really don't add up as high as you think. You're looking roughly about $600 to $700 a year, and it can go up incrementally. So should you have an umbrella? Let me know in the comments below if you think an umbrella is a good option to have. Is it a scam, or is it something that you would be interested in? I personally carry one. I do see the value in it, and I feel that most people are going to want or should have an umbrella policy in general. It's just a good, inexpensive way to protect yourself for future loss in case of a major occurrence. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I'll see you in the next one.